Hey guys, since I've been sniping a lot in my recent videos, I've received questions regarding ranging, camouflage, positioning, and other aspects of sniping. So this video will feature some of the methods that I have luck with in sniping. So the question I receive the most is how do I find out what my target's distance is so I can range and shoot them? Well, in this case, I'm going to look towards the red metal building at Starry, and I'm going to see a player on top of it. So if I plan on shooting, I need to find out how far away this target is. To do this, there's 4 ways that I like to use. The first way is using the Taurus map. The Taurus map, if you put it in your hand, it lets you open it and you can see the whole Chernaris. So in this case, what you want to do is find out where you are. So currently I know I'm at Starry. You zoom in, find your location. So I know I'm around this dirt road up here on the hill. And I know the target I want to shoot is down here. So basically each one of these squares is 100 meters. So I can simply count the squares between me and the target and I'll get a rough estimate of how far away the target is. In this case, I can see that there's about 3.5 squares between us, which will amount to around 350 meters away. So I can estimate that the target is around 300 to 350 meters. The second way to range is using the in-game rangefinder. If you just throw a battery in this, you can aim it and it'll tell you the ranges of your enemies up to 1,000 meters away. In this current patch, I think is broken, but they should fix it soon. But as you can see, the red number, the 999, that will tell you your range. So in this case, if I aimed at this player, I would see probably about like 300 to 350 meters away. So another way you can range is using the PSO1 scope. If you put this in your hand and aim towards your enemy, you can use these markings on the left here and match them to the height of your target. For example, here the guy is standing and I'm going to try matching it to his height. And if you see here, it falls between 3 and 400, so I know he's probably around 350, give or take, like maybe a couple meters. So this can be a bit confusing, so here's a better close-up. Wherever the standing person meets between the two lines, that indicates their range, so in this case, the player is 400 meters away. The fourth method of finding ranging is using the iSurvive app. This is available on the phone and browser, and what it does is let you zoom in anywhere in Chernaris, and it gives you a ranging tool which lets you see distances. So in this case, I'm going to click the ranging tool on the top right. On the app, I believe it's in the bottom right. And I'm going to zoom in on Starry, find my location, click, and then drag. And when I drag it to my target's location, it's going to give me a range here. So I can see my target's probably around 360 meters. So we've used all 4 methods of ranging and they've all given me a rough distance of the target. Now what I want to do is simply 0 to 300 meters, which is done using page up or page down on PC, and I think it's the D-pads on console. And I'm going to go 300 meters and I'm going to aim towards his neck probably. And you can see it's pretty accurate. So I almost always snipe using a ghillie suit just because it conceals you so well. If you want to make this, you need 10 burlap strips and 4 netting. To get netting, you have to look at the coast. Usually I find them at the rowboats on the coast. And for the burlap strips, I just cut burlap sacks with the knife. When you combine the netting and the burlap strips, you'll see different recipes to make different parts of the ghillie. I usually just make the full ghillie suit and the hood. The ghillie suit provides some of the best camouflage in the game. When used correctly, it'll make you almost invisible from close ranges. And as a sniper, most of the danger will come from people flanking you on the hills, trying to find your position. If you want to have the best camouflage possible and avoid being seen, here are some tips that I use. Some players like to lay down in the middle of fields with their ghillie suits. Although this might look like a good idea because you'd think you're around grass and it's going to be kind of hard to see you, that's not the case. After a certain distance, grass stops rendering. So from your perspective, it looks like you're in the middle of a grass field and you're covered. However, after a certain range, the grass stops rendering. As you can see here, there's no more grass in that position. So a player on top of this tower would easily see you prone in the middle of a field. So this can be very misleading. So I just suggest staying away from open fields and sticking to bushes and trees. Never wear bright clothing because the ghillie works in a way that your clothing will show right through it, especially if you're wearing bright colors. In this example, I'm wearing full black gear, and as you can see, no colors are sticking through the ghillie suit. Now as comparison, here's a player that's wearing red under their ghillie. When you look at the sleeves, you can see that the red sticks right through the ghillie. At close range, you might think this isn't a big deal. At long range, it makes a big difference. I'll show you in a second. So the reason I'm telling you not to wear bright colors is that after a certain distance, the ghillie doesn't even render properly. I don't know if this is the case for console, but on PC, I've played vanilla servers and modded, and this is the case. So if a player is looking at you from a couple hundred meters out, all they're going to see is the clothing that you're wearing under the ghillie. In this case, this player is wearing a full red setup, so all I see is the red. If he were wearing white, I would see white. If he was wearing green tactical shirt, I would see a green tactical shirt. The ghillie doesn't really show. The best way around this is to wear darker colors. If you're wearing dark green or black, it'll be hard to spot you through the ghillie suit. You'll still look like you blend in with the forest. Camouflage can only do so much. If you found a spot you want to snipe from, you want to make sure that no one tracks you approaching. If you're in a tree line and you get spotted, you're most likely going to get a headshot by someone who saw you walk into that tree line. The best way to prevent this is to take a safe approach to your sniping position. In this situation, I saw a player approaching the hill, and I was able to track him to the bush he decided to snipe in. Because he decided to take this route, I was able to shoot him the second he stood still in the bush. As seen here, it would have been safer to take the longer approach through the forest. Spending 30 seconds to safely reposition is better than spending an hour running back north from Electro. As a sniper, one of the best ways of improving your chances of survival is by using an improvised suppressor. The way you make this is by combining a water bottle and tape. So the suppressor works on most weapons, and the only downsides are that it doesn't last very long. On some weapons it only lasts for one shot, and on others it lasts for a couple shots. And the second thing is that on most guns you can't really use the iron sight when this is attached. Here's another reason why the improvised suppressor can help you. If you shoot without a suppressor, you'll see that there's a large smoke trail that kind of comes out of your gun. And comparing that with the improvised suppressor, you'll see it's a much smaller trail. You can barely see the smoke coming out. So this can conceal your position. Usually when I'm sniping, I like to look up at the forests for a while and look at bushes for snipers. Usually if a player doesn't move, I have a really hard time seeing them. But even the smallest movement can give your position away, just like in this case. Simple things like reloading, moving, and leaning to the left can just give your position away completely. So tracers are incredibly useful in certain situations to see where your bullets are landing. But in most situations in DayZ that I've encountered at least, they just give your position away way too easily. So I would just be cautious using these. Don't use them unless you really need to use them. Whenever I'm entering cities or military zones, I always like to have an escape plan in place in case things go south quickly. For example, most buildings only have one way in, so if someone sees you sniping, they can easily trap you in there. Also, being in these urban areas will mean that you're at a disadvantage because you're going to be fighting at closer ranges, and if you have like a Mosin or Winchester, you're not going to be able to do much versus a player with an M4. In this case, my friend was on the top of the headquarters building at the Southwest Barracks. Our plan was that if he were to be rushed or pinned down, he would jump down the back onto a ledge and I would cover him. By having an escape plan for a situation like this, my friend was able to get away safely, and I was able to shoot the guy that was trying to kill him. When you're sniping in cities, and you have long rifles, sometimes your gun will stick through windows. You want to make sure that this doesn't happen because this can give your position away. In this case, this player could take a couple steps back, and that would ensure that he's not visible from the outside. So if the server you're playing on has stamina enabled, you don't want to carry too much loot. For example here, I carry the bare minimum things that I would need, such as ammo, a sidearm in case I need it, food as backup, water, purification tablets in case I have to drink from the wilderness, bandages, and a knife. If you have 3 or 4 guns in your bag, it's going to bring your stamina low, and if you reposition after shots or you get chased by somebody in the woods, they're definitely going to catch you. And as a sniper, you want to be really fast so you don't get caught and killed. At the moment, there's 4 weapons that are classified as sniper rifles in the game. I'm going to place these weapons in order based on my preferences, and again, this is only my opinion, but I'm going to explain to you why I picked this order. So in my opinion, the best sniper rifle in the game is the M70 Tundra, which is also known as the Winchester. If you want an easy to find, reliable rifle that can hit precise shots at long range, there's no better than the M70. The hunting scope offers great magnification, the gun itself requires no magazine which makes reloading simple and effortless, and the 308 round travels fast and hits hard, which makes it amazing for sniping at long distances. For me, a close second behind the M70 is the SVD. This gun hits hard, has a 10 round magazine, and has a useful PSO scope that includes a functional rangefinder, and the scope features chevrons which allow users to take accurate shots at longer ranges over 1,000 meters. This weapon also has a semi-automatic firing mode, and allows the use of different scopes such as the Cobra and PN51 night vision scope. The only reason I put this gun second is because I prefer the magnification and accuracy of the hunting scope over the PSO1 scope. Again, this comes down to your preference, but the M70 has just been more reliable at longer ranges for me. My third ranking is the CR527, which is an easy-to-find bolt-action rifle. This rifle is fed from a 5-round magazine and it's compatible with the hunting scope. The CR527 is the perfect early to mid-game rifle to help you get kills and gear up. You should upgrade this to either an M70 or the SVD when possible because the 7.62x39 rounds do much less damage. So you might be wondering why I placed such a rare weapon in last place. Let me start by saying that the main benefit of the VSS is that it's extremely silent when being shot, and it has an automatic and semi-automatic firing mode. However, I found very few reasons to use this gun. This gun seems to be tailored for closer range sniping from between 100 to 400 meters. Whenever I shoot targets past 400 meters, the extremely slow bullet takes a couple of seconds to land, making it very difficult to hit moving targets. The 9x39 round is also weak compared to the 308 Winchester and 7.62x54 rounds. Since this gun is pretty bad past 400 meters, there's no reason to really pick it up. The 10-round magazine makes it pretty bad for close ranges, and you'd be better off using a silenced UMP or MP5. At medium ranges, you'd be better off using a weapon like the LAR or M4, which have better damage and a better ACOG scope. I'm sure that some people have hit insane shots with this gun, but with better alternatives for almost every situation, I never pick this weapon up when I find it. I know that many of these tips and tricks are common sense, but with the introduction of PS4 recently, I'm hoping that some of the newer players find this useful. To close this out, I thought I would include some of the shots of a hit using these methods. Thank you for watching, and I hope you guys have enjoyed. I see a player, he's aiming at us.